Makima, the Control Devil, embodies humanity's fear of domination and manipulation, making her one of the four horsemen of the apocalyptic world. Her presence represents the creeping end of freedom itself, the fear that someone can control your actions, thoughts, and even reality. As Chief Cabinet Secretary's personal devil hunter, she wielded enormous influence over both humans and devils, blending political power with supernatural control. To outsiders, she appeared composed, calculating, and flawless. To Denji, she initially seemed like a charming and approachable pet-like figure, hiding the true apocalyptic force she carried. Following Aki's death, Makima discarded any pretense of friendliness, revealing her darker purpose. She acknowledged herself as a necessary evil, a weapon designed to enforce order and control, much like the Gun Devil serves as a human-engineered apocalyptic force. Her obsession with the Chainsaw Man, the hero of hell, was rooted in his unparalleled ability to erase devils and reshape reality itself. By controlling or consuming them, Denji could alter existence, a power Makima intended to harness to create a world without fear, pain, or death. Her own twisted apocalyptic vision, yet beneath her ambition, she harbored a simpler, almost tragic desire, the longing for family and connection, a life she could never have outside of control. Makima's abilities were terrifying in both scope and subtlety. She could dominate any being she considered inferior, humans, devils, or fiends, erasing their memories of her influence and binding them completely to her will. Through chains that connected her to others, she could summon and channel the powers of those she controlled, even deceased ones, constructing a loyal army of hybrid fighters. Former enemies like Ruan and Kataman became devoted instruments of her apocalyptic designs. Her control extended beyond humans. Animals, from rats to birds, acted as global spies, while she could traverse distances in hell by merging with swarms, appearing wherever necessary. Her mastery over invisible force allowed her to crush targets, inflict internal damage, and even destroy enemies from afar. Through sacrificial rituals requiring a human life and a name, she could annihilate individuals without leaving evidence. Her contract with the Japanese government ensured near immortality. Fatal injuries inflicted on her were redirected as illness or harm to random citizens of Japan, letting her survive attacks that would normally kill even powerful devils. Makima's reign ended only when Denji struck her with a chainsaw imbued with Poe's blood, consuming her remains. However, she reincarnated as Nauta, a new incarnation of the Control Devil. Though slightly limited, able to fire only a few chains at once, and struggling to dominate some individuals tied to her past, she retained her terrifying ability to manipulate memories and perceptions instantly, continuing her apocalyptic influence over the world. Through Makima, the Control Devil, Fami, the Famine Horseman, embodies humanity's fear of starvation and scarcity, marking her as one of the four horsemen driving apocalyptic chaos. To the world, she appears as a quiet student at 4th East High School, but behind the facade, she secretly leads the Chainsaw Man Church, orchestrating hunger and deprivation as a weapon. Her presence reminds humanity that famine isn't just about empty stomachs. It's the terror of survival stripped away, a creeping apocalypse that can bend people to her will. Fami wields a disturbing ability. She can convert starving individuals into loyal pawns, even bending powerful devils to her control. She can shrink her followers into small effigies for transport, making her influence both invisible and precise. Yet she acknowledges the limits of her power. These controlled devils cannot fight at full strength, and she exercises her abilities sparingly, careful not to overextend her apocalyptic reach. Her ultimate aim intertwines with prophecy, the Nostradamus prediction of the Death Devil heralding an apocalypse. Fami's vision isn't total annihilation of humanity. She values life only to the extent that it preserves her access to food, but she has no qualms sacrificing others to fuel her goals. She has trapped humans in cruel situations, such as confining Asa and her peers in an aquarium to starve, and attempted to manipulate Yoru, the War Devil, into serving as a weapon to prevent or accelerate apocalyptic events. The War Devil, known as Yoru, embodies humanity's fear of war and conflict, making her one of the apocalyptic four horsemen. Her presence signals inevitable destruction as she manipulates combat, turning anything she controls into a weapon. Initially, she needed physical contact and naming to transform objects or beings, but over time, her apocalyptic power evolved. She can now telepathically summon and weaponize anything she claims, from ordinary objects to living humans, devils, and fiends, without uttering uttering a word. Yoru's abilities are tied to emotional weight. The guilt or significance attached to an object or being amplifies its destructive potential. Weapons formed from powerful connections are devastatingly strong, far surpassing mundane items. She can even access contracts linked to devils she controls, unlocking extraordinary abilities like when she activated the National Pistol Association's agreement with the Gun Devil. This allowed her to repurpose a massive, weaponized Statue of Liberty to strike across continents, demonstrating the far-reaching apocalyptic scale of the War Horseman. Her partnership with Asa creates a duality. Yoru can inhabit her host's body, but her control fluctuates with Asa's emotional state. If Asa panics, Yoru loses command, showing that even an apocalyptic horseman can be influenced by human vulnerability. This combination of immense destructive power, weaponization of humans and devils, and psychological influence makes Yoru a terrifying figure, enforcing the inevitability of war wherever she appears. The War Horseman's apocalyptic presence is not just about physical devastation, it thrives on fear, tension, and chaos, ensuring that the shadow of conflict spreads globally, leaving destruction and uncertainty in its wake. The Death Devil represents humanity's ultimate fear, death itself, making her the oldest and most formidable of the apocalyptic Four Horsemen. Her very existence signals the inevitability of mortality, an unstoppable force that dwarfs all other devils. Where the other horsemen bring war, famine, or control, death embodies the final, unavoidable conclusion, the end of life. Historically, the Death Horseman was part of the original apocalyptic battle in Hell, clashing violently with the other horsemen. In those encounters, her power was unmatched, forcing even the strongest devils to retreat. Over time, the younger horseman moved into the human world, leaving Death's exact whereabouts unknown, shrouded in mystery. This absence only amplifies her apocalyptic aura, as her return would signify an event of catastrophic magnitude. The Death Devil's abilities are primal and existential. She can manipulate mortality itself, bringing inevitable ends to anyone in her path. Even the most powerful devils or hybrids are not immune. Her presence alone generates fear on a scale unmatched by any other devil, feeding on the instinctive dread of death that every human carries. This fear empowers her, making the Horseman a literal embodiment of the final apocalypse, a force that humanity cannot bargain with, evade, or combat. Death's role as an apocalyptic horseman is both symbolic and practical. She represents the ultimate limit, the inescapable truth that underpins the terror of the other horsemen. While war destroys, famine starves, and control manipulates, death claims all in the end, ensuring that no being, human, devil, or hybrid, can escape the finality she wields. Her mere potential presence shapes the world, enforcing the inexorable, terrifying inevitability of the apocalypse.